Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Namo Rangaya, Namo Namaha, Jai Guranga, Jai Shagare. Continuing on today with the Tryasra Tisra jati for Das Pahira Taal. We looked at, excuse me, dadhini, tathini, dadhini, keta, dadhini, keta, tathini. So this is going dadhini, right? Dadhini, 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 dadhini. 1, 2, 3, 1. So open teeny. So now we're looking at reversing this. Now we're going Dhinidha, right? Dadhini. Now we're going Dhinidha, dadhini for 6. Dhinidha, 3. Da, Dhinidha, dadhini, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini. Make sure that's nice and close. Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini. Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini. Right? Dhinidha, dadhini. So that's the basis of this mantra. Then we're going to show a few different variations. So how's this look with the gur and the lagu and the two sides being played? So this is dhini, right? Dhini, da, da, dhini. Dhini, da, da, dhini. So everything is quiet here except for the last D. Dhini, da, da, dhini, dhini, da, da, dhini, dhini, da, da, dhini. Right? Dhini, da, da, dhini, dhini, da, da, dhini. This is so important in Mridanga, getting the proper emphasis of where the actual hits should be loud and where they should be soft. If everything's played at the same volume, then it becomes very, very difficult to play the mantras nicely. So I have to readjust this. So if you're playing like it just like, I don't know, it's obnoxious and it just doesn't have the right flair and kind of beauty that it kind of requires. And you want to be able to catch the audience. So if the audience is just listening to a wall of sound, then they'll actually tune out rather than tune into it because it's overwhelming. So you want the mridanga to be able to be soft and delicate and then have those accentuated sounds where one part is loud, and that really helps to catch the audience's ears, you know? So you're going, right? Right? So the audience is like and it also gives that nice pop. It's an offbeat, really, really beautiful. So make sure that you're thinking about these things as well, because if you play everything at the same level, then it's not going to sound nice. You look at any composed pieces of music, they always have, you know, mezzo forte, mezzo piano, all these different terms so that they know at what point, you know, it's soft, it's growing, it's crescendoing, it's getting louder, it's getting softer. That's very important in music. Dini da da dini, dini da da dini, dini da da dini. Now the last part, taketa, keta. Taketa is 3, taketa for Tisra jati, right? Taketa, then keta space for 3, so that makes 6. Taketa, keta, taketa, keta. Dini da da dini, dini da da dini, dini da da dini, taketa, keta, dini da da dini. fell down. So you want to, so for the lagu there, it's Dhinidha, tathini, Dhinidha, tathini, Dhinidha, tathini, Dhinidha, tathini, Dhinidha, tathini. Again, soft, loud, right? Dhinidha, tathini, Dhinidha, tathini, Dhinidha, tathini. So you got this Dhinidha, tathini, Dhinidha, tathini, Dhinidha, tathini, taketa. Dhinidha, tathini, Dhinidha, tathini, Dhinidha, tathini, taketa. 4 fingers here. Taketa, keta. Dhinidha, tathini, Dhinidha, tathini, Dhinidha, tathini. So what can we do with this? A few different variations. So we can first break it up into a smaller section. So you always start large and then break down into smaller pieces. So we can start Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini, taketa, Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini, taketa. Then we can move to Dhinidha, dadhini, taketa, Dhinidha, dadhini, taketa, Dhinidha, dadhini, taketa, Dhinidha, dadhini, taketa. Now different variations. Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini, dagurugur, dadhini. Instead of the taketa, keta, now we can make it more advanced by going ta. Look at here on the joints, right, for 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. Takurukur. Takurukur. A lot of mantras you'll see we're using the dagurugur, and it's just in 1 space, or even we're cutting that down into an 1/8, you know? So now it's being spread out into 2 mantras out of the 3 there, or not mantras, but 3 of the spaces there. So you got 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You go daguru, dagu, right? Daguru, guru, guru. You could do that, right? Dagurgur, and put it in 3, but we're just going dagurgur, dagurgur, and we're spreading it out. With Tista jati, usually it's spread out like this. So you have dagurgur or takurukur for the 3, dagurgur, and then dadhini for your 3 at the end. Dagurugur, dadhini, dagurugur. Dagurugur, dadhini, dagurugur, dadhini. Right? 1, 2, 3. Can I count like that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's hard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I'll show you on the fingers here. Da, guru, da, guru, gur, da, di, ni for 6. Dagurugur, dadhini. And then when you're in double speed, it goes daguru, dadhini, taguru, tathini, daguru, dadhini, daguru, tathini, right? Daguru, dadhini, daguru, tathini. Dagurugur, dadhini. But if you look, there's a difference between figuring out how much is in each space for 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but then you have to phrase it so it's in Pahira Taal, right? So we're actually going Dhinidha, dadhini for 2, right? Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini, daguru, dadhini, right? So the dagurugur is in 1 mantra, dadhini is in the 2nd mantra, but when we're breaking that up, we're looking at there's actually 6 times that we're hitting it within that. So that's the difference. Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini, Dhinidha, dadhini, dagurugur, dadhini, right? Where you can can go daguru, dadhini. You can switch these up too. Sometimes you can reverse them. You can do a takurukur, tathini there, and then at the end of the thinita, tathini, you go a daguru, dadhini, so it segues in. You can reverse them as well, like that. Dhinidha, dadhini, dhinidha, dadhini, dhinidha, dadhini, dhinidha, dadhini, dhinidha, dadhini, dhinidha, dadhini, daguru, dadhini, dhinidha, dadhini. So let's chant with these. So then that would break down as well. So before we had Dhinidha, dadhini, taketa, keta, Dhinidha, tathini, taketa, keta. Now we're going Dhinidha, dadhini, dagurugur, dadhini. More advanced, right? Not just advanced, it's just about progressing the kirtan. So you would start slow. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, so now you can progress through. I'm not super proficient because I actually just came up with this on the fly here. So many, I mean, there's thousands of mantras here, so a lot of these I haven't even really practiced or played. I've just composed them for you guys and put them together. So don't hate on me for not being perfect with them, remembering all the variations and stuff like that. But I'm teaching them so that you guys can become perfect and proficient and learn with me here. I don't have so much time to practice, but I do really love understanding the theory and composing all of this stuff so that people after me will have the opportunity to really perfect this mridanga system when we haven't had a system like this ever written out for us. So it's just really important to me not to be a good player per se, but just to facilitate other people playing really nicely. And if and when I ever finish my work, then I'll really be able to sit down and actually teach myself mridanga, because I'll have the system to actually learn from now. So that will be really exciting. So we'll just go through these. So we've got the Dhinidha, dadhini, and then the taketa, keta, and then we have the Dhinidha, dadhini, dagurugur, dadhini, and then you have the extended versions of that as well. So the next mantra that we're going to look at, I just wrote this morning, because I don't know, stuff just comes to me as I'm thinking about these, and I'm like, oh, this would sound cool. So this would come after as a more powerful mantra, because the other one's kind of flowing, but now we're adding more emphasis to things. So now we're going Dha-dha, dadhini, Da space, Dha-dha, dadhini. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Dha-dha, dadhini. Dha-dha, dadhini. You can also play one finger as well. Dha-dha, dadhini. But I like 4 fingers. Dha-dha, dadhini, dagurugur. Because most of the mantras 4 fingers here. Dha-dha, dadhini, dagurugur, dadhini. Dha-dha, dadhini. Hare Krishna. So remember that. Da-dha. The dhini and the tini are the most emphasized in the mantra. Da-dha, dadhini, dagurugur, dadhini, da-dha, dadhini, dagurugur, dadhini, da-dha, dadhini, dagurugur, dadhini. Again, this is something that you could extend as well. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna taketa, taketas. Well, there's so many versions of these, you know. Da 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 da. So let's go over this slowly now. Da 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 dee, da 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 dee, da 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 dee, da da dee. Remember, this hand hits first. Da 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 dini da guru dati da ta tathini da guru tathini tathini. Don't get into a dhege there. You want the da 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 dini da guru dadhini da da tathini. So da da dadhini dagurugur dadhini ta ta tathini takurukur tathini da da dadhini da da dadhini da da da. Right? Da da dadhini da da dadhini da da dadhini dagurugur. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Next, a lot of different variations for Tryasra Tisra. So many different ways that you can do things, extend things, even the way that you have a da or a day or a ta or a te. Depending on if you're playing day or ta, you can have more power, less power, quieter, softer, more expressive, less expressive, little, you know, so many different things. So these are choices that are not set in stone. You can make these decisions as you become a better mridanga player. What suits the time, what you feel like doing. So here now we have gena, theta, gena, right? We've learned this. If you haven't learned this, then you're pretty much stuffed for the rest of mridanga. Especially, you know, Tryasra Tisra, it's all Gherges and lots of different dagurgurs. So this is why practicing those hand practices are super important, because no one does, and they come to a point in the mridanga playing where it's just this boring, stagnant, repetitive, overly used, you know, endless stream of just the exact same mantras that aren't played nicely, aren't proficient, don't sound good. You know, no effort's been put into it because you're not. It's like, imagine being a devotee who doesn't chant their rounds ever. You know, they've never put any practice into chanting, or they just chant a little bit, but they're not really into it. It's the same thing as with mridanga. And you know, if someone's not chanting like that, then their kirtan won't be, you know, generally as nice or as potent or anything in their life. So the same thing with mridanga, like chanting your rounds every day on mridanga means chanting mantras, speaking, playing, chanting mantras, learning the system, and then you will have that power and potency to do something in your kirtan. So, you know, it's just super, super important, and there's just no way around it. Plain, beautiful, and simple, that is also a perfect, you know, system, but even then you need to learn the basic kirtan mantras and still practice them, and some hand practice to pull them off and be aware of what you're doing. I think the worst thing in mridanga and music is playing above your ability. Like, you know, when I was in band class and jazz band and stuff like that, you know, we could play level 2, level 3 music nicely as a group, and then you start playing level 4, level 5 advanced music, and it just is a mess, and no one's able to really pull it off nicely. It's the same thing with mridanga. People who try to play above their skills and abilities end up kind of ruining the kirtan and the sound and their devotion, because it's an egotistical thing. Like, you have to play at your ability and understand where that is. And if you play within your ability, whatever it is, it's going to come across as more genuine and sound so much more beautiful, you know? So that's another issue, is just being not genuine with your playing. And what does that mean when you're not being genuine with your playing? It means that you're playing with an ego and being egotistical, and that really ruins everything, you know? And that's a huge issue in ISKCON and kirtans around the world, is bringing that ego in. The best way to remove your ego is to set it aside and see the genius of mridanga and get beaten down by it every day by trying to practice and learn these mantras, and sitting down even as a so-called advanced mridanga player and realizing, hey, I can't play actually any of this stuff nicely. And it will humble you, hopefully, and bring that ego down. And when the ego comes down, then your ability to learn and open up to new knowledge increases and expands. So the ego really, but you have to like put yourself in that position of starting to do something and realizing that you're not actually that good at it in order to open yourself up to learning. You know, learning should be a constant process, and so many people kind of stagnate in ISKCON and don't make any more advancement, because the ego kind of crystallizes and forces people into a situation where they think, hey, I've done enough, I'm good enough, I'm doing my service, I'm in a routine, and they just don't grow anymore. They do the same kirtan the same way every time, they cook the same way every time. So this is not, you know, you always have to humble yourself and learn whatever you can from whoever, and every person has something to offer every single time that you can learn, no matter how advanced or not advanced they are. So, you know, segueing from that conversation now into these mantras, this is where you kind of have to humble yourself and realize that, you know, mridanga is not that attainable without a lot of practice and practicing properly and with real mantras. You know, you just can't kind of get to that next level. So now we're starting to get to a little bit of a next level kind of stuff here, and it's really nice. And this is just this gena theta gena, which becomes gherge, gherge. And this is used all the time in Tryasra jati. Gherge, and the gher spans across 3. Gherge, 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 gherge. 1, 2, 3, right? Gherge. See how the gher lingers? Gherge, gherge, gherge. So now lots of different versions. The second part is dege, dege, gherge, gherge, dege. Or let me see here. That should be a tak. So here, the second part is dhegetak, dhegetak, or it can be dhegedtak, gherge dhegetak, or gherge dhegetak. Now, the taks are much more potent, and the tas are a little bit, you know, and coming from the dege, to go from a closed dhegetak, dhegetak. I find when you're playing at really fast speeds, to go from a de to a ta that quickly is very difficult to kind of distinguish between it. It's easier to just do all open. So that would be a dhegedtak, right? Dhegedtak, or gherge dhegetak are the two easiest versions, but you can also go gherge dhegetak, gherge dhegetak, gherge dhegetak. So all these different ones. So gherge dhegetak, gherge dhegetak, gherge dhegetak. are the versions. Gherge, dhegetak. Gherge, dhegedtak. Gherge, dagurgur. Gherge. So let's look at the days first. Gherge, dhegetak. Gherge, dhegetak. Now the top, again, you can go. So you can have the kherke, taketa, okay? Kherke, taketa, or you can have kherke, theketak, or you can have kherke, taketa. So why are these versions? So you can roll through this one just before I kind of teach this. Let's just see how this works. So that's the most powerful version. Right? Second most powerful is just the one day and the one ta. Right? So we're switching between a closed and an open. Like that, trying to switch between the closed and the open at that speed. You could do it slower. So when it gets really rolling, it's easier to keep it all one. So here's the open. This is taketa. So that one's nice, not as powerful. It's just nicer if you want to hear that ta ringing out, letting a little bit more mercy out into the ether, letting the crowd just know that you're in control of the mood and control of what's happening with the kirtan. And again, just holding people's attention. So and then do the lightening up maybe on the lagu, you know, just heavy on the guru, lightening up so you get the days and the tucks on the guru, and then on the lagu you've got the tas, a little bit lighter area. So that all these things can kind of come into consideration when you're playing. So let's just learn the days, as that's the most common version. Gherge, dhegetak, gherge, dhegetak, gherge, dhegetak, gherge, that hand loose and curved again. So how do we chant with this? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So Gherge, dhegetak. So here the ge is emphasized, and that kherke, keta. The K and the ge are where you want to bounce on that offbeat. And the tucks are also strong as well. So the tucks and the ge and the k there. So let's look at this again. Hare slow. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. tell, but the thumb is like coming, well, you can't really see, but you know, over to here on the screen. So the thumb, you know, the hand is opening up in order to create that spin and rotation you need in order to get that speed. So once more, Hare Krishna, Hare right? And you want to make sure that you're really strong on those tucks. Hare so then this shortens as well, but let's see the open then. Hare so we shorten it as well, but that's with the tas. So lots of different versions here. In Kirtan, generally I'll play the closed tucks, and then, you know, if it gets quiet, like, so I'm very quiet on the bottom end, and I'm just focusing on these tas. Hare Krishna. Switch the tucks, get a little bit louder, lots of different things. Is there anything else to be said about this? I guess that's enough for today. We'll continue on with the stuff. Next class we'll show the shorter versions, and then it just keeps getting shorter and shorter as well, and different stuff happening, but that's enough for today. Hare Krishna.